Namaskaram. We will start with 3 chants of Om. Today is Rishi Panchami, so we will recite a few lines honoring our Rishis before we proceed. Take your attention to the base of the spine, Muladhara Chakra, and repeat after me. Om Shri Kashyapa Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Kashyapa is the first of the Sapta Rishis. Sapta Rishis, by the name itself, means 7 Rishis who are responsible for all the knowledge and wisdom that we have been inheriting, not only through the scriptures but also through our genetics. Because there is something called Gotra, which means that all of us belong to one of these 7 Gotras. We have descended from these Maharishis, and therefore genetically we have been imbibed with a lot of their knowledge, even if we don't know that intellectually. So that's what we honor by in all the 7 chakras. So let's now take our attention to an inch below the navel, but in the back, inside the spinal cord. 1 inch below the navel, but in the back, in the spinal cord, what we call as the Swadhisthana Chakra. And repeat after me. Om Shri Atri Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Atri Maharishi is the father of Dattatreya, whose avatar Shirdi Sai Baba is. Now we move our attention to just above the navel, but not in the front. Once again in the back, within the spinal cord. And repeat after me. Om Shri Bharadvaja Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Now, Bharadwaja Maharishi is responsible for what we now call as Annadanam. Annadanam is donating food for the hungry, and that donation of food is considered to be the highest form of donation. But when we say hungry, it need not necessarily be only those who are hungry in their stomach. Those who are hungry in their mind or intellect is also another form of hunger, which is satisfied with knowledge and wisdom. So he is responsible for not only Annadanam, but also for Ayurveda system of medicine, which is also in the same sense that food itself can be a medicine as long as we follow the proper diet, and only in emergencies you need additional medicines. Now let us take, we have completed 3 of the rishis, Kashyapa, Atri and Bharadwaja. 4 more are there. Now we will take our attention to our heart chakra called as the Anahata chakra, which is right behind the middle of our chest, once again in the spinal cord. Aum Shri Vishwamitra Maharishyai Namo Namaha. This is very special for us because our lineage is from Vishwamitra Maharishi. In other words, our Gotra is Vishwamitra Gotra, which means that even if we don't know the knowledge that he has given to us intellectually, in our genes itself, all that he produced, which is phenomenal amount of knowledge and wisdom, a lot of that is in our genes and just requires a little bit of work or effort to activate that without having to study all that he wrote. So let's honor him and then move up to the pit of our throat, that is the gap that is there just below our thyroid, and once again it's in the back, it's in the spinal cord. So this is called the Vishuddhi chakra. Aum Shri Gautama Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Gautama is responsible for recognizing the importance of a cow and its milk and all other dairy products, because of which we get so much of nutrition. He is also the husband of Ahalya, who was cursed to be a stone and was restored to be a woman when Sri Rama stepped on it while returning from the killing of the Tataka demon along with Vishwamitra Maharishi. Next, we take our attention to the 6th Rishi, who is at our 3rd eye or Ajna chakra, right in between our 2 eyebrows. So let's focus on that location, not only in the front but also in the back where there is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, because these secretions help a lot with our ability to sleep as well. So this particular Maharishi here is very important in inducing sleep. His name is Jamadagni. He is the father of Parashurama and husband of Renuka Parameshwari. Now recite after me while focusing between the eyebrows. Aum Shri Jamadagni Maharishyai Namo Namaha. So just like Gautama at our throat introduced the concept of cows and dairy products, one of the most famous cows called Nandini was living in the ashram of Jamadagni Maharishi, who is at our 3rd eye. Now we go further up to the Sahasrara chakra, which is at our fontanelle, that is at the top of our head in the scalp, and that is the Sahasrara chakra of Vashishta Maharishi, who owned the cow which is mother of Nandini, called as Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow. Vashishta Maharishi is married to Arundhati, and Arundhati is the nakshatram that the bridegroom shows to the bride at the end of most Indian wedding ceremonies. Now let's focus on the top of our head and recite after me. Aum Shri Vashishta Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Vashishta Maharishi is also the guru of Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna during their childhood days. He is also the Raja Guru of the kings of Ayodhya. Now, this is as far as the physical body is concerned. So these 7 rishis, and rishi, the word itself means seer. We say anybody who sees is a seer, but they are not seeing only through their 2 outer physical eyes, but they are seeing through their 3rd inner eye of intuition, so that they see reality as it is, not in through a lens. For example, if we use colored paper to see outside, or we are wearing cooling glasses, then things seem dark, but outside it might still be bright. So that's the way in which most of us are seeing. The way rishis see is by removing that cooling glass and seeing things as they are. That's how they see reality, and that's what we do through all our spiritual practices or sadhana, is to open up our 3rd eye to be able to see reality as it is. So this is the physical body governed by these Sapta Rishis, who though lived many thousands of years ago, are actually the quality of our perception from each of these chakras. So they're not necessarily beings with a form. It is just our ability to see things from a perspective, different kinds of perspective. If we see ourselves from the front, we look a different way. If we see ourselves from the back, we look different way. If we see ourselves from the side, we look different. If we see ourselves from the top or bottom, again we look different. So similarly, all these are perspectives, but these are outer perspectives. Our idea is to have an inner perspective, not of the physical body, but of what we truly are. So we will go one step further from the body to what is the mind. The mind is like a balloon which is around our body. You can think of it as a sweater. You don't use your sweater all the time, whether it's a leather jacket or a sweater, woolen sweater. You will use it when it is very cold outside, and then you will remove it, fold it up and put it aside. If it's dirty, you will wash it and then keep it in your wardrobe. And next time it gets cold, maybe it's already summer now, then again when it gets to winter, you will once again need that sweater. So recognize our mind to be like that. A sweater is important. A leather jacket is important. But it is not important in all seasons. Not important at all times. We need it only when we need it, when it becomes cold outside. The mind is also exactly like that. It's not the main clothes that we are wearing, the undergarments or the clothes that we wear outside, that be it a chudidar, whatever. It is something that is additional to protect us from the cold. Similarly, the mind is not to be used always. It's like using a sweater, woolen sweater during summer, leather jacket during summer. It is silly to be doing that. But why is it that we continue to use them during all seasons? Why is the mind always a botheration for us, or sometimes a botheration for us? Because we have started identifying with it. We think that woolen sweater or the leather jacket is a part of our body. It's like our skin. Can we remove our skin? We cannot. It's a part of the body. Similarly, we have started imagining that the woolen sweater or leather jacket is our skin, because of which we are not able to remove it. First step in regulating the mind is to recognize that the mind is not us. We are different, the mind is different. then we will be able to remove the mind whenever it is not necessary. For example, when we go to sleep, the mind is not necessary unless we want to keep dreaming during the sleep. So we need to keep it aside, and we will not be able to keep it aside until we convince ourselves that we are not the mind. First steps towards that are to say, instead of saying, I like this, I don't like that, recognize that it is not I who is doing that, but it's my mind which likes these things, it's my mind which does not like these things. So in our way of talking to others as well as to ourselves in our thoughts, we have to first of all bring a slight distance between ourselves and our mind. Then we have a starting point to work on it. If we keep identifying with ourselves, then it's difficult to work on it. For example, it's like a doctor who's trying to heal himself. Unless and until he gets a little bit of distance from his body, he will not be able to diagnose himself and treat it, because he himself is the patient. So in that sense, we have to understand that the mind is not us, and that we have to address the mind as we go, recognizing that we are much more powerful, we are much more capable than the mind. Mind is just a tool. It's very useful tool, but it's not always necessary. It creates wonderful emotions, but we don't need to be emotional all the time. It creates thoughts for us in the form of the intellect or buddhi, again very useful to solve certain things, to plan for certain things, to imagine certain things, to create certain things, but we are not in that mode all the time. So we need to learn how to take it off and keep it. As simple as removing our sweater in summer or on a hot day in the afternoon and folding it and keeping it aside. And sometimes, though it's enough to just remove it and put it in the wardrobe, sometimes because we have overused it, we might want to clean it before putting it in the wardrobe. We don't want to put a stinking leather jacket or sweater into the wardrobe. It will spoil the other clothes as well. So what do? We tend to either dry clean it or use the appropriate washing instructions before putting it back, so that next time we need it, it will be in a fresh condition, it will smell well. Same thing with the mind. When we try to put off the mind, after a little bit of work that it has done, that's fine. We just can put it off and bring it back whenever we want. But if we have overused it, then it is dirty and stinking. So it needs a wash. And that wash is what is given by meditation. So as you meditate on all of these chakras, one by one you keep meditating, and in particular when you come to the Agnya chakra, the sixth chakra in between the eyebrows, where Jamadagni Maharishi is there, responsible for our deep perception as well as deep relaxation and sleep. When we come to that and meditate on the Agnya chakra, that's our pituitary gland and pineal gland, enhancing their secretions, which in our scriptures is called as Amruta, the immortality, the essence of life, then we will be able to cleanse that mind like cleansing the sweater or leather jacket, and then keeping it fresh in the wardrobe to be used whenever we need it the next time. So, first of all, recognize the mind. Though in this example we are talking about a sweater and leather jacket, is not actually a material. Our physical body is a material. It is made out of solids, liquids, gas, and energy. But the mind itself is just made out of our emotions. The intellect itself is just made out of our thoughts. It doesn't have an existence by itself. It is just like a balloon around our body. And to access that, we go higher up above the Sahasrara Chakra, beyond the physical body, to two more rishis. We have already given our honor, respect, and worship to 7 of the rishis, occupying various parts of our subtle body, which can be mapped to our physical body. But now we are going beyond the physical body to our mind, so that we can address its issues using the powers of perception of these two great rishis. So let's take our attention to a couple of inches above our head, right above vertically. At this location is what is known as the Matru Pitru Chakra, the mother and father chakra, or the parents chakra, or the ancestors chakra. Now, this is in the form of an infinity loop. The way we write the infinity symbol is like writing the number 8, but instead of keeping it vertical, we keep it horizontal. So that 8 is the symbol of infinity when it is lying down. And it is that 8 which is like a Mobius strip, which is continually spiraling, going around and round and round, because the number of ancestors that we have is almost infinite. Not only human ancestors, but before that, animals, plants, and all other lower forms of single cell animals like amoeba, etc. We have evolved from all of that, and we have grown from all of that. Each and every life, even if it's as simple as an amoeba or as complex as a human being, every one of those lives, our past lives, have been a learning experience. We should not let all of that learning go to a waste. Let us harness that learning so that we can make our life as beautiful as it is intended to be. This life is not meant to suffer. Even if there is pain, we can handle it joyously so that we can see how to get rid of the pain rather than suffer and make the pain to last for longer. So let our focus be 2 inches above the Sahasrara Chakra to the Matru Pitru Chakra of our ancestors. Papaji Master is there, Harur Pati is there, Harur Tata is there, Vallibai Pati is there, Swami Sarvana Bhavananda Venkatachalapati Tata is there, and all our great ancestors, all of them are blessing from there, and they have now become a part of our mind, which is around our physical body. And at this chakra, the Maharishi who governs it is Agastya Maharishi, who is the Maharishi of our Kshetra, South India. Agastyeshwara temple is at Thalakaveri, and his spouse is said to be the river Kaveri in her original form as Lopamudra Devi. A very short person, but his brilliance is absolutely uncomparable. No genius like him has ever been born. So repeat after me with the focus couple of inches above your head for this Rishi who's responsible for our emotions and our intellect. Om Shri Agastya Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Finally, we take our attention to about 4 inches above the Sahasrara Chakra, above our head. Now we are venturing into territories beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, to our vital energies, life energy itself. And this is the ultimate Rishi who governs this chakra, which is called as the Guru Gayatri Chakra. Guru means two syllables, gu and ru. Gu is darkness, ru is remover. The one who removes the darkness of our ignorance to showcase our reality is Guru, and Gayatri is Gayana iti trayati iti Gayatri. That means whoever sings the Gayatri mantra is protected by itself. That is Mother Gayatri with her 5 phases to show that we are beyond the 5 elements. And at this Guru Gayatri Chakra, the presiding Maharishi is Patanjali Maharishi, who is an avatar of Adi Ananta Shesha in Tiruvananthapuram. Ananta Padmanabha Swami is lying down in Yoga Nidra. He is the god of sleep as well. That Ananta Padmanabha Swami, his vrata is coming up not tomorrow, but the Sunday after that, 8 days from today. And that Ananta Padmanabha Swami, if you can recollect the imagery, is lying down on a snake, a massive 5-hooded snake called Adi Ananta Shesha. Adi means the first being. Ananta means unending, infinite. And Shesha means remainder or zero. So it is the principle which brings together 1, 0 and infinity, the 3 numbers of great relevance from which all other numbers can be created. Once when Vishnu was in Yoga Nidra, lying down on Adi Ananta Shesha, he was usually very still and silent. But suddenly he started moving around a little bit and giggling and enjoying a nice laughter, at which Adi Ananta Shesha was surprised because his eyes were still closed. Vishnu was still in Yoga Nidra. In Yoga Nidra, he is usually so still that nothing moves. But now he is laughing and enjoying during sleep. So then Adi Ananta Shesha asks Vishnu, what is it that makes you laugh so much? Can you please tell me? I also want to enjoy. Then Vishnu says, in my mind, I am observing the dance of Nataraja, Shiva in Chidambaram. That dance is so magnificent that I am thoroughly enjoying it, and that is what is making me move and laugh, almost in synchrony with Nataraja's dance. Then Adi Ananta Shesha was tempted to watch Nataraja dance as well. So he takes the permission of Vishnu to go to Chidambaram. So Vishnu gives him a body of half a man and half a snake, and that form is what we call as Patanjali Maharishi, who went to Chidambaram and learnt yoga from Shiva Nataraja himself. And it is his principles of Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 principles of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi that we are learning as part of our daily sessions, and which is what is repackaged in various forms as Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya by Sadguru of Isha Foundation, as the Sudarshana Kriya by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar of the Art of Living Foundation, etc. The essence of all of that is from Patanjali Maharishi, and which in turn is from Shiva Nataraja of Chidambaram. And all of this was made possible by that beautifully reclining Lord Ananta Padmanabha Swami of Tiruvananthapuram. So let's pay our obeisance to all of these rishis, with the final honor being given to Patanjali Maharishi. So recite after me. Aum Shri Patanjali Maharishyai Namo Namaha. Bow down with respect to all of these 9 rishis whom we recollected, and all of whose knowledge and wisdom is bestowed upon us as blessings and grace that we can benefit from to solve whatever problems we face, because in reality these are not problems but situations which, when looked upon at certain angle, looks like problems but are actually opportunities and challenges to make our game of life even more interesting. So with this, we can rub our hands and put it on our eyelids, and face the heat, which is nothing but the blessings of all these 9 rishis percolating through our eyelids, into our eyes and every part of our body, and to the mind and the intellect as well. Now you can bring your hands back to the thighs, keeping them facing upwards, and gently and slowly, whenever you feel comfortable, you can slowly open up your eyes. Namaskaram.
Namaste.
So now we can take up some questions. Any doubts that you have particularly, we can see how we can address that.
I just wanted to know about this mind and thought which you...
Okay. So very good. So this desire to know itself is a very good starting point. So we should be happy that we are wanting to know. Most people, unfortunately, don't even have that desire to know. They're just living their lives mechanically. So whatever the reason why you are asking this question, the very fact that this question has arisen for you means that you have a great future ahead. By making yourself answer this question, I can only show you the indications of how to find the answer. First of all, as we just discussed during our meditation, the body, the physical body, is made out of the Panchabhutas. It's made out of earth, it's made out of water, it is made out of fire, it's made out of air, it's made out of space. But the mind is fluid in nature, it's more like water, but it's not made out of water, it's not made out of any of the Panchabhutas, because it does not have any physical existence. You can't see the mind, you can't touch the mind, you can't hear the mind, you can't smell the mind, you can't taste the mind. So, but it exists. Why does it exist? Because our emotions are existing. Sometimes people call the intellect also as the mind. Sadhguru in fact refers only to the intellect as the mind. So the intellect is also very similar to this, whereas the mind in our scriptures, what is known as manas, is made out of our emotions. The intellect is made out of our thoughts. So as and when the emotions change, the mind changes. As and when the thoughts change, the intellect changes. It's very similar to as and when we change our diet over a period of time, our body's size and shape changes. If we go for a better diet, maybe we become more fit. So similarly, it's the thoughts in the case of the intellect and the emotions in the case of the mind which makes them up. If there were no thoughts, there will be no intellect at all. If there are no emotions, there will be no mind at all. So the question is why we are having unnecessary emotions and unnecessary thoughts. Because the mind is very beautiful in expressing the emotions of love, for example, to another person and enhancing the relationship. But when it is used unnecessarily, at that time it becomes a hindrance to our overall life. So the question is to observe why these emotions are arising. Go to the source of that and try to see if you can get rid of the very roots of that. So always think of this, as we did in our meditation, as a sweater that you're wearing, as a leather jacket that you're wearing. Yes, you need them. They are very important part of our clothing, but not always. You need them sometimes, you don't need them sometimes. So this ability to move these around can happen if and only if you recognize these are not you. These are tools given to you. Sweater is given to you. Leather jacket is given to you. Sweater is not you. Leather jacket is not you. Similarly, the mind is not you. The intellect is not you. They are very useful things, but only at certain times. For example, when you go to sleep, why do you need emotions? You don't need the mind. Why do you need the intellect? You don't need to do any rational analysis during sleep. So that is an example of a time when you don't need it. In fact, many times, even during the waking state, these are operating beyond their limits. And that's why they seem such a big problem, because there's so many different emotions and it's become like a mocktail. Similarly, there's so many different thoughts, and one leading to the other, another leading to the other, because of which this seems so complicated. But in reality, their structure itself, they are made out of the emotions. If there are zero emotions, there is zero mind. There is no mind at all. It's like the sweater has this wool which is knitted, and that wool is what is our emotion. So it's out of those emotions that this whole mind is made. Just like out of the wool the sweater is made. Similarly, just like out of the leather jacket is made. Similarly, out of our thoughts, this intellect is made. So we should first learn that these are not us, these are our tools, and therefore we can remove them. It's not like removing our skin. That is impossible. It's like removing our sweater and leather jacket, which is possible. For that, we have to know what they are made out of. The mind is made out of emotions. The intellect is made out of thoughts. So the next question is, how do we handle these thoughts or emotions? First of all, we need to categorize them, which are necessary, which are not necessary. Because we don't want to get rid of them completely. We need them for our imagination, for our creativity, for our relationships. We need them. So question is, when is it necessary? When is it not necessary? You will know that by the very fact that they are troubling you. At that time, you don't need them. You need to know that you put off. When do you need to know that you have to remove your sweater or leather jacket? You start sweating, you feel very hot inside, you feel uncomfortable, then you remove that, right? Similarly, there are certain emotions which will cause certain discomfort in you. Then you will know that it's time to put it aside. As I told, one way to do that is meditation, especially on the chakras, moving from the lower chakra, and especially when you come to the Agnya chakra, you would see that this is already gone into the wardrobe. Is also gone into the wardrobe. So that is what we have to practice. And this comes, as I have always been saying with other things also, only through abhyasa. Practice, practice, practice. In the beginning it might seem a little difficult only because we are not used to it. We have been handling these as if they are attached with glue, putting heraldite and sticking it to this, that we don't see this as a separate finger. We don't see this as a separate finger which can be moved around independently of this to some degree of freedom. We are thinking they're all stuck up like this, like a web. No, they are all free and they can move around as much as we want, but within their own limits. And that way we have to learn how to put our emotions and our thoughts back and bring them back whenever necessary. And this is not as hard as it seems. You have brought up a nice child, for example, when we are dealing with our child, at different ages, different kinds of requirements are there. But these two are like infants always. And you know how to handle infants, or let's say even toddlers. Sometimes you need to be firm, right? You need to be loving to them all the time, but sometimes you need to be firm also. When they misbehave for their own good, they need to be told, no, this is not the way. That firmness in your no to your some of your unnecessary emotions and unnecessary thoughts is essential. You have to come as the boss. You are this. You are the self. These have been given to you to make this life beautiful, to make this game that you're playing enjoyable, to play this movie that you're acting in entertaining. But when they cause trouble, they have to be shown their way. You have to be firm about it. And that firmness, you have to handle it in a case by case basis. There is no rule book to say, this is what you do, this is what you do, as if we are a machine or a robot. We are a human being, and there is a leeway here and there little bit, and there's so much of subjectivity. But just this recognition first that these are different from us, they are not us, but they are very useful tools. Second step, they are necessary but not always necessary. Just like the sweater and leather jacket, when I need them, I will use them. When I don't need them, I will put them apart and bring them back again when I need them. Next, you should know when to put them back, when to bring them back. That is, whenever you feel discomfort. Just like when you remove sweater, when you remove leather jacket, it's only when you feel sweating or very hot inside, discomfort. Same way, mind and intellect, you will know yourself. Nobody needs to tell you. You yourself know when it's causing trouble. So you need to put them back. How to put them back? Meditation. Meditate on each of the chakras, bringing finally to the Agnya chakra. Then you will see that these have no choice but to go back. Because you're activating all these rishis, and we are learning this great knowledge and wisdom on a great day which is dedicated to them, Rishi Panchami. I'm sure it will come to your utility if you show a little bit of sincerity and think of these two as your kids, that you're raising them. These are toddlers and they're a little bit misbehaved sometimes. And so you, as a parent, you show a little bit of firmness in dealing with them. You tell them, okay, playtime over, boys, pack up, come back, and they pack up into the wardrobe. And then they come back when it's necessary. So that's how you try to do that. And you try to, for example, for sleep, you try to think how you went to sleep as a baby. You had that warmth of a mother. You just cuddled up, right? And Mother Nature is there always for you to cuddle you up. When you lie on your bed, that bed is a part of Mother Nature. Think of that Mother Nature as cuddling you up. In the warm bosom of a mother, when that warmth is felt, automatically you go to sleep. Just like taking a warm shower, sometimes these little babies or the sambrani poga, they'll just feel drowsy and go off to sleep. So it's like that. You feel the warmth of Mother Earth. And now, at least for a few days, you have access to Mummy. Hug her tightly and sleep. Let her hug you tightly and sleep. Feel that warmth a little bit. Feel like a baby and go to sleep like a baby in her arms. So you'll see that slowly you will learn that even when she is not around you physically, maybe you're in Tirunanthapuram, wherever, Mother Nature is there with us all the time, everywhere. She is just one example of Mother Nature. That Mother Nature is there everywhere, giving us a tight hug, a warm embrace, and in that warmth, we feel so comfortable. There's nothing to worry because she is taking care of everything. Like how you took care of everything when Debu was a small baby. She's taking care of everything. You don't need to think about it. Don't need to overwork these two. So just put them off and you will see that things get back into their place. You are still a baby compared to the life of Mother Nature, this planet Earth. Our age is absolutely nothing. Always recognize that how little we are physically, how in our size, in the time that we have lived on this planet, in this body, in all the senses, we are a tiny baby to Mother Nature. And she's always endearing, loving, compassionate, caring, nurturing. And she wants us to go to sleep at the right time, come back to and again work and enjoy this life. So trust her and just go into her bosom and just enjoy your sleep.
And the meditation matter separate recording பண்ணலாமா?
Sure.
So that I can have access.
Okay. You can stop and again.